Hello everyone, welcome back to my GH Spoiler channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. General Hospital, full episode, Saturday, March 7th, 2026. Willow's heartbreaking 10-year sentence. You will not believe what happened in Port Charles today, and neither could anyone inside that courtroom. The doors of the Port Charles Superior Court had barely swung open Saturday morning before every seat in the gallery was filled. Reporters, neighbors, friends, enemies. And at the very front, crammed into the first two rows like a wound that refused to close, sat the Corinthos family, the Quartermains, and one devastated Michael, his jaw tight, his knuckles white, his eyes fixed on the back of the woman he loved. Willow Tate Corinthos stood at the defendant's table in a navy blue blazer, her golden hair pulled back, her posture so perfectly composed that she almost looked like she wasn't terrified. Almost. But her hands were trembling. "She's gonna be okay," Nina whispered to Michael from 2 seats down, an olive branch, or maybe a prayer. Michael said nothing. He couldn't, because everyone in that room knew the truth. Nothing about today was going to be okay. It had started 6 months ago, the night Willow made the decision that would unravel everything. In a desperate attempt to protect her children, Wiley and Amelia, from a credible threat orchestrated by the shadowy Soleado crime network, Willow had accessed classified DEA files through a contact she'd made during her nursing years. She'd shared those files, just a fragment, she'd insisted, with someone she believed was a federal ally. He wasn't. He was a plant, a trap, and Willow had walked right into it. The charges were staggering: unauthorized access to federal databases, conspiracy to misuse confidential law enforcement intelligence, and the one that made the courtroom gasp when it was first read aloud months ago, obstruction of a federal investigation. District Attorney Cheryl Baines had pursued the case with the kind of cold, methodical precision that made even seasoned attorneys nervous. She wanted an example. She wanted a sentence that would echo. And today, she was about to get one. The judge, the Honorable Warren Prescott, a silver-haired man with eyes like granite, shuffled his papers with excruciating slowness. Every second felt like a decade. In the gallery, Christina reached over and squeezed Carly's hand. Carly didn't squeeze back. She was barely breathing. Sonny sat in the back row, alone, a choice that spoke volumes. His face was unreadable. Dante sat beside him, staring straight ahead. Max Scorpio and Anna Devane were present too, not as family, but as former officials whose written character testimony had been submitted on Willow's behalf. It hadn't been enough to get the charges dropped. The question was whether it would be enough to soften what came next. T.J. Ashford, Willow's closest friend and colleague, had his face buried in his hands. Molly rubbed his back in small, helpless circles. "Will the defendant please rise?" Willow stood. Beside her, Attorney Martin Gray placed a steadying hand on her elbow. Barely visible, barely anything, but she leaned into it. Judge Prescott cleared his throat. "Ms. Tate Corinthos, this court has reviewed the full record of this case with great care. I have read every character statement submitted on your behalf. I am not unaware of the personal sacrifice that motivated your actions, nor am I unaware of the genuine good you have done in this community over many years." Michael exhaled. That sounded like the beginning of mercy. It wasn't. "However," Prescott continued, his voice dropping half a register, "the breach you committed exposed active federal operatives to risk. It compromised an 18-month investigation, and it was not, as the defense has argued, a single impulsive act. It was a calculated series of decisions made over the course of 11 days. The air in the room turned to glass. It is the ruling of this court that you are hereby sentenced to 10 years in federal custody, with the possibility of parole after serving no less than 4 years, dependent on continued good behavior and review. The sound that came out of Michael Corinthos was not a word. It was not a sob. It was something that existed before language, raw and animal and devastating. Wiley, who had somehow been allowed in the gallery at Nina's insistence, pressed his face into his grandmother's shoulder. He was 13 now, old enough to understand exactly what 10 years meant, old enough to destroy him a little. Willow did not cry, not immediately. She turned to look at Michael, and the look on her face was the most heartbreaking thing Port Charles had ever witnessed, because it wasn't despair. It was apology. Pure, gutting, bottomless apology. She mouthed something. It looked like, "I'm sorry. Take care of them." Martin Gray was already on his feet, announcing an intention to appeal. His voice was steady. His eyes were not. Carly was standing. Someone, Christina, was pulling her back down. "Not here. Not here, Mom. Please." Sonny hadn't moved. He stared at Willow as the bailiffs approached her. His expression was the one he wore when something was already in motion that couldn't be stopped. As the bailiffs guided Willow toward the side door, she stopped, just for a half second, and looked back one final time at her children in the gallery. Little Amelia, only 6 years old, waved at her mother, a tiny, confused, heartbreaking wave. Willow smiled back. She kept smiling until the door closed behind her. And then Port Charles fell apart.